Hi, I'm Lacey.
And I'm Sam.
Welcome to Monster Soup and Creature Brews, the podcast where we talk about all things monster movies, big, small, creepy, or downright ridiculous.
From movie monsters to cryptids lurking in the shadows of folklore, we're here to explore them all. So kick back, grab a snack,
Or a drink.
and let's dive into some monster-filled mayhem.
Welcome back to Monster Soup and Creature Brews. We did watch Cabin in the Woods, and that's what today's podcast is going to be on.
5 teens visit a remote cabin and explore its cellar, finding strange items. When Donna reads from a book there, she unleashes zombie killers, but the situation is more complex than it appears.
Okay, so my Explain It Badly, I'm actually pretty fond of this time. So a bunch of college kids go camping where TripAdvisor clearly says do not go here. Their Airbnb is basically a haunted shed and a basement full of do not touch items. So naturally, they touch everything like toddlers in a museum. Turns out it's all part of a reality show run by stressed out office workers who summon zombie rednecks to keep the ancient gods from rage quitting the planet. In the end, the world gets canceled because 2 people didn't follow instructions.
That's a good Explain It Badly. That was explained very well.
Yeah. So as we mentioned on a previous episode, from here on out, we're going to be sorting our movies into tiers. And I debated a lot on whether or not I felt this movie was like a tier 3 or a tier 4. And in the end, I went with a tier 4 just because there is a purge scene at the end of this movie that is pretty gory, where a lot of people die in a lot of very creative, bloody ways.
For that scene, I would definitely give it a 3 because it was fairly mild.
Yeah.
But the end sequence takes it up, like cranks it up to 10 really quickly.
It does, and I went back and forth a lot. If you guys haven't seen this movie, up until, like Sam mentioned, up until I would say the last like 25 minutes of the movie, it is a traditional like campy horror, and then there's this one scene where you're like, oh no, oh that's a lot of blood.
Yeah, they just kind of go on a rampage.
And we'll get there. This movie's kind of old, so if you guys haven't seen it, I don't feel bad about spoiling it for you.
It has Thor in it.
Yeah, it does have Thor in it. This is a tier 4. Do not watch this with children. Do not watch this where children might stumble upon the images. They are disturbing, some of them. And I am giving this movie an A rating. So tier 4 with an A rating from me. It's really campy. It pays homage to a lot of classic horror movies. It's kind of a different spin on dumbass teenagers go and stay at a cabin that everybody should have taken one look at and turned around. You know, it's kind of a fun twist on a horror classic.
I really don't blame them. They were set up.
They were. So what's your rating, Sam? I'm an A.
Mine is an A too. It's a really good movie.
It's a fun watch, and it's really Halloween themed. I know this episode's coming out a little bit after Halloween, but it can be Halloween all year round, whenever it floats your boat.
Right? It's still the season. It's fine.
'Tis the season for spooky. I am one of those obnoxious people, I will say, that goes straight from Halloween to Christmas. I'm not a huge Thanksgiving person, so for me, like, we're kind of in that window where it could be either or.
She's not lying. Our Christmas tree was up before November even hit.
I do wait until after our youngest birthday, because his birthday is Halloween, and so when I take all his birthday decorations down, up goes the Christmas decorations. It makes me happy. It doesn't hurt anybody. It's fine.
I did not realize that people actually had beef with people putting up Christmas decorations before Thanksgiving was over.
Oh no, it's like it's a thing.
Yeah, who cares? It's crazy.
So you ready?
So the movie pretty much starts with a couple guys at a coffee machine just kind of shooting the shit.
One of them is clearly trying to have a baby with his wife, and his wife is pre-baby proofing the house. So he's complaining about it a little bit.
It's really just 2 guys complaining about life.
They're walking in a white, sterile-looking hallway that looks actually kind of a little bit like Men in Black. A female office worker colleague walks up behind them and is discussing that the Swedish experiment has failed, and now it's just down to this experiment and the Japan experiment.
Basically, she's trying to be like, why are you guys not a little more panicky? And then they start talking about the betting pool, because apparently they're betting on something. And he brings up the fact that the last time something went wrong, wasn't it your department that caused something to go wrong?
So far, they haven't actually clued us into what the experiment is or why they're concerned that the Swedes failed and it's just them in Japan. It just very much looks like a government office type environment.
Yeah, and then it freeze frames with the name of the movie, and then it cuts to what I'm assuming is an unrealistic college apartment. Girl dancing in underwear.
In front of the window.
Bold choice.
That's not what the college housing looked like when I was in college.
I don't think there's a college housing on the planet that looks like this.
I don't know, maybe in the Northeast.
And this girl is clearly drawn. There's like a picture of an old man that she like sketched. And her roommate comes up behind her and is like, is that Professor Fuckwad? Apparently she has a crush on her professor.
I sort of assumed that she dated him.
And her roommate, for some reason, dyed her hair blonde. Apparently, it's kind of shocking.
The fact that the roommate dyed her hair actually does become a little bit more important later in the movie, so they do focus on it for quite a few minutes.
There's quite a few moments here that once you've seen the movie, makes more sense. But there's a couple scenes here where they allude to people acting kind of out of character.
So Jules, the roommate, is talking about how she's going to set Dana up to help her get over the fuckwad professor that she apparently was sleeping with, who then broke up with her via email.
And Thor comes in, is Kurt in this movie, and is Jules's boyfriend. He does briefly give Donna some advice on how to handle some of her professors when she is working on certain assignments, because they have a special way of grading or whatever.
So you notice here that Kurt is actually pretty smart, and that does kind of become important later on in the movie.
Yeah, so Kurt's sociology major.
He came in to talk to Jules and Dana, and at the end of it was like, oh, by the way, Dana, you're not wearing any pants.
Oh yeah, because she was still in her underwear.
We all see them climbing into what is
an RV.
A terrifying RV. And then Marty pulls up
smoking, how do I describe this?
A creative bong.
Yeah, it's like a coffee cup bong extender.
It's actually one of the best bongs I think I've ever seen, because he then takes it and he collapses it down into what is a regular looking coffee mug.
They'll never know.
Oh man, it would smell so bad though.
And he makes a really good point. Cops would never pull over a guy with a really, really big bong.
He then takes the time to lock his car.
With the window open.
It's an older car, so it's the kind you actually just reach in and pull the lock straight up. So I don't think it's going to deter anyone. They're clearly not living in Florida, though. That car would be gone 15 minutes later.
Yeah. We also don't have... Actually, we probably have a few weird cabins in the woods. Not as many as up north.
Here in Arizona, yeah. Yeah, especially, like, the closer you get to Flagstaff. Yeah, so allegedly they're going to a cabin for the weekend to get off the grid, and this cabin is Kurt's cousin's. And then Marty, our resident pothead, is giving a speech about how basically society is broken and needs to be torn down and start over.
Those words become very important at the end of the movie.
Yeah, so he's basically saying that society needs to crumble, and then while he's actively rolling a joint. Not doing a great job at it, by the way.
No, it looked like a straw that someone had been chewing on.
Like, it's not very tight. It's not very well done. Snoop Dogg. Calvin would be ashamed.
Back in the, I can only call this like a bunker, a lab area.
Government testing facility.
Thank you. And our two guys from the beginning turning on computers, I guess. Because they're not actually doing anything. They're talking to one of the security guards who doesn't seem to be okay with whatever's going down.
He looks new. Like, he's not become desensitized yet.
Yeah, it's clear that a lot of people that work in this little facility have been doing it for decades. As typical in any horror movie, the gang pull off to the most destitute gas station on the planet.
This is what every gas station between where we live in Arizona and the California border looks like, by the way.
Oh yeah, definitely.
They're all terrifying. They all look like this, and you try so hard not to stop at all.
No, you definitely fill up at the last regular gas station and just try to make it all the way. At most, we might stop at Lufkin. That's the only safe place to fill up, and then keep going.
Yeah, even Blythe is touchy.
They head into the gas station to meet with the creepy, very cryptic owner of said gas station.
And then Kurt's friend Holden, who they're trying to set up with Dana, walks in, is wandering around, still hasn't walked back out. If I walked in and I saw
all that creepy ass shit,
a hoarder's den / gas station / hermit shack, I would leave.
I will say he had a very appropriate reaction to this dude popping up out of nowhere.
And he's like an older creepy man.
He is essentially giving them a warning about they should turn around because nothing out here is worth coming to, and if you do, you might not make it back out. It pretty much goes on a bit of a rant about how the plot of land that they're going to, people are always trying to sell, and that
he's been there since the war.
What's his name? Marty making a joke about some guys in some red coats and some guys in some blue coats. He's pretty much warning them to turn around, and they choose to ignore this warning. Marty continues to make jokes about how the railroad will be coming anytime now, and they pull off and head back down the road. So then this creepy guy, I'm pretty sure this is the part where he radios in to the suits that they did not heed the warning, and they continued down towards the cabin. So clearly that guy's in on it.
After the gas station, we see them driving the RV up what is a mountainous road with a lot of switchbacks and no guardrails. And then we see a bird fly into some sort of force field grid.
Yeah, it's like an invisible force field that has like a bunch of hexagons and it just gets obliterated. This is while the only safe way in and out is through a tunnel. And if you try to like go across the ridge, you just run into this electrical wall and explode. They make it to the cabin, and it is just what you picture when you think of a shitty ass cabin in the woods.
It's what you picture if you were in fact expecting to be murdered by zombies. This is where it would happen. And I want you to know that I would turn back around. This would be the moment where I would be like, Kurt, your cousin lied and is clearly an asshole. There's no lake. This cabin looks gross and I'm out. Peace.
Yeah, I would definitely be sleeping in the RV. And I would also be backing the RV up to closer to the cabin. But yeah, I would rather sleep in the RV than in this rickety ass cabin.
I've had some bad experiences with places to stay and things like that. So I'm wary. I will say that. Like I have stayed in some shady ass places in my life and it's always a bad experience. And whenever you have that little place, you're like, this wasn't what I thought it was going to be. Just turn around. Do yourself a favor and turn around.
Yep. Not worth it. So everyone's acting like this place is really cool. And I gotta tell you, this is not the place I would be hype about.
It looks like it smells like dust and mothballs.
Yeah, it doesn't look like anyone's lived there in like a couple decades.
So we see Holden walk into a room. Everybody's kind of walking around exploring, talking about how awesome it is. And he sees a super gross painting.
It's like creepy with a family that's like eating people and animals.
With like a kind of like Shadow Man in the background. So he takes the painting off the wall, which I would do too.
And very immediately discovers that he has a see-through glass into the next room. He can see Dana, but Dana can clearly not see him.
Yeah, it's like a two-way mirror.
And he's like, just kind of checking her out a little bit, thinks she's cute. But then she starts to undress, and he's a gentleman, so he stops that very quickly and yells at her, hey, chill. He thinks about it, though. He really stops and thinks about it, and then he's like, nah, I shouldn't do this.
Which is a nice touch for a horror movie, because usually you see it go the other way.
So Holden brings in the whole gang to come check out this room because it's really creepy. He even offers up the room to Dana, and that he'll be in the other room, so she doesn't have to worry about it being creepy.
First red flag is that this whole place looks incredibly haunted, and I'm a believer, so I wouldn't be thrilled about that. Red flag number 2, there is no good reason to ever have two-way mirrors in between bedrooms. The people who owned this cabin were up to scary nonsense.
Oh, yeah, 100%.
You know what? Actually, red flag number 2 is the gross painting. Red flag number 3 is the mirror. So they should all be getting into the RV and leaving.
So this part's kind of funny because Dana starts looking at Holden, who is also getting undressed.
Holden's clearly showing off, though, because he knows there's a two-way mirror.
Yeah, and Dana is checking him out, and then is like, oh, maybe I should put this picture back up. And she sees the same thing he sees and is like, fuck, I guess I gotta turn this around.
I don't think I could sleep with that picture near me.
Oh, no, it would have to be facing the other way.
And so then the scene transitions again, and we see the people in the government bunker watching all of this through, like, security cameras.
Yeah, there's hidden cameras all throughout the cabin. So they have, like, multi-displays showing everything that's going on in the cabin from every corner. So we see all of the people, the outside.
Yep, they're definitely watching Holden get naked.
They make an announcement to engineering that there's a room change and to make adjustments. Apparently they pump certain gases depending on who's in what room.
Yes, so the chemist Wendy comes back in and lets us know that they basically dosed her hair dye to make her stupid. The roommate Jules.
Yeah, so apparently they're trying to subtly influence everyone using external means.
Yeah, and so the chemicals in the hair dye is going to work its way through her scalp and
Make her dumb. Want her to be like the damsel in distress.
I think it's actually going for the classic, she's just a whore.
Oh, yeah.
But they need her to be a stupid whore so that she'll die first.
Yes. This is the gas station worker. His name is Mordecai. And he's pretty much letting them know that he warned them and they didn't heed his warning.
So he calls the two government workers, Hadley and Sitterson.
This part's actually really funny because he gives a really ominous, cryptic message about what's about to happen. And they're all laughing their asses off about it because they're like, he's like, I'm on speaker, aren't I?
You can tell the two older office workers, Sitterson and Hadley, are just super desensitized and have to get through this with like dark humor because they don't take any of it seriously.
Yeah, they've clearly been doing this for too long. Mordecai's speech is pretty awesome. If he just gave that speech in a regular movie, it would hit. But they're all laughing. And, well, there's the lake. They're all jumping into the lake.
I don't know. I know that it's not an issue in the Northeast. I know that. I know that. But I can't get over how I grew up. And you just don't swim in water like this.
No gators.
Well, and just moccasins.
Yeah.
If you can't see your feet,
Yeah, don't swim in it.
you don't get in it. You don't even stand near the edge of it.
Yeah, springs are usually pretty fine because you can see straight through them. But lakes like this, nah, you can ride on them, but you don't swim in them.
Yes, it's an average freshwater lake surrounded by pine trees. It's pretty.
We get more monitoring of all of them, and they are taking bets.
So Sitterson is collecting money. We've now swapped back to the office workers, and they're clearly doing this by division. So like R&D, engineering, electric.
Zoology. It's actually fun to figure out how many departments they have.
And so then there's intern who's trying to make a bet, and he's saying that they were already taken by maintenance. And so he says if you win, you have to split the winnings with maintenance.
Because maintenance picks the same one every year.
And the intern is like dickering a little bit. The chemist, Wendy, clearly feels a little bit bad about the betting. And so she goes up to the security guard and is trying to sort of make it a little bit better.
She says that it's just a way for everyone to let off some steam. And he asks, does the director know about this? He's like, yo, the director set this up.
Hadley basically lets him know that even though they influence things through chemical means, through setting things up, through limiting things, in the end, the people who are involved in this system still have to make choices. They have to choose to ignore the warnings. They have to choose to go down into the cellar. They have to choose
to pick up an item and either read from it, touch it, turn it on, solve the puzzle. There's like a bunch of different outs to different horrors, and they essentially have to choose everything. Because at any point, they could just get up and leave, and then all of this is irrelevant.
Yep. And so then they end the betting, and it flicks back to the college kids partying.
Which it's 5 people, and they're playing music and dancing really out. The office workers are dancing too. And Marty is hitting.
All right. So they are all playing Truth or Dare in this cabin, and Marty dares Jules to make out with the wolf head.
And make out she does. She does a seductive thing with the wolf. And it goes a little bit much.
I'm just going to chalk it up to whatever chemicals they're pumping in this cabin, because ew.
Yeah. She makes out with this wolf. And she pretends to be this helpless girl, and that the wolf is calling out to her. It's so awkward. As the kids would say, cringe. Yeah, this scene's pretty gross. It's a taxidermied wolf head, and she's making out with it.
She sticks her tongue in its mouth aggressively.
And licks and sucks on the tongue that's in the wolf's mouth.
Dana looks just as horrified as I feel.
I think they're also all a little baffled because, like I said, this is very out of character for Jules. Everyone starts clapping.
I mean, she did the dare, and she did the dare well.
Aggressively.
She committed to the dare.
And it's Dana's turn, and she preemptively gave her the truth because Dana apparently never would take the dare.
Which I feel like is something kind of odd because we've already established that Dana was fucking her professor. So clearly she's not that goody two-shoes.
Right.
As they're taunting her about the fact that she always does truth, a cellar door pops open. And they go, oh, the wind must have blown it open.
What wind? And naturally, just like any horror movie, especially ones full of white people, they want to investigate.
And then Jules looks at Dana and goes, I dare you. And Dana's feeling the type of way because they just made fun of her for being too into the truth, part of Truth or Dare. And so she goes down the creepiest fucking cellar stairs. Nope, with a capital N, underlined. Nope. And so we then see within the cellar a collection of all things creepy. And it actually pays a lot of homage to a lot of really classic horror movies.
And pretty much anything that can summon an evil horror is down in this basement. And she's just walking around alone with a flashlight. There's creepy dolls. There's a piano. There's old pictures. She's essentially highlighting everything. They stuffed this cabin full of things that can summon unspeakable things.
Well, I think what's fun about this movie too is that a lot of the items pay homage to films.
Yeah.
And so it's kind of cool when you watch it, you can see and you can look at it and be like, oh, I know that one's from XYZ movie.
So the rest of the gang comes down and Marty lights up a lamp, and now they have a little more visibility down here. And essentially what happens in this scene is everyone picks something.
They all start touching stuff, which, as we know, in any kind of monster or horror movie, you shouldn't touch stuff.
And it's in this moment, I'm pretty sure it'll cut back and forth between the office workers, because they're all watching the screens with bated breath to figure out which one they're going to summon.
Kurt picks up a conch shell. Jules is fucking with a necklace that's clearly with a bride's outfit.
Yeah, like an old locket.
Yeah.
He almost blows on the conch, But then he puts it down and picks up this little ball puzzle. It's kind of like a Rubik's Cube, but a ball.
And Marty's the only person here speaking common sense. He's like, I dare you all to go back upstairs.
What is that? Is that Holden?
Yeah.
Holden opens up a little...
music box.
Yeah.
Marty actually starts to mess with a film strip instead of going back upstairs and taking his own advice.
Yep. Holden's listening to the music box as the ballerina's dancing. Kurt starts solving the little sphere puzzle, and Dana opens up a diary. And just before Jules puts on the locket and Kurt solves the puzzle and Marty starts looking through the film, Dana starts reading, which distracts everyone from whatever they're doing and listen to her. And she starts reading from the diary. It's really creepy. The person who's writing the diary, and Anne Patience Buckner, apparently is just talking about how one of her brothers is having a dream about a black room. And it's apparently the room where people got killed in.
They also talk about some torturing, shoving coals in people's belly.
Cutting the flesh. Makes her husband have a bulge.
Marty then asks for her to stop reading because it's gross.
But of course she keeps reading because reasons. For some reason Holden has glasses on when he did not have them for the earlier parts of this movie.
I assumed he put them on because he's kind of reading over her shoulder. Maybe they're reading glasses.
Well, isn't he supposed to be like the scholar?
He is supposed to be the scholar
I feel
archetype.
like he got set up for those glasses. I just now realized that he was wearing them. Oh, Marty tells him there's a part in Latin, and Marty tells him don't read the Latin part.
And then we hear a voice whispering, read it out loud, and Marty turns around and is like, what the fuck? Because once again, somehow high as shit, he's the only person here with common sense.
So Dana starts reading the Latin, and then we see hands pop up out of the ground outside.
Wouldn't have been in the basement to begin with, but the second whisper voices started telling me to read shit out loud, I'm done.
And zombie redneck family make it out of the ground.
Really, this is probably one of the harder groups to survive because there's a lot of them. And so then it flicks back to the office workers, and Sitterson announces that the Buckners are it and that maintenance has won, and they also have to share with Ronald the intern. And Ronald goes, woo!
Yeah. Redneck torture family is very different from zombies.
Yep. I wonder though, for Ronald the intern, do you think when he started this internship that he was just like, oh great, engineering at the government, it's gonna be like steady and good and I'll get really good experience? And then he showed up and his first day of work had to sign an NDA and then was like, what the fuck?
He was like, what have I got myself into? But he's clearly leaned into it.
Because there's no way that they like put this out on, you know,
no.
Indeed.
They probably hired some internal, like, hey, there's an opportunity. Do you want to, lat move to this division? They make a lot of money.
And like with a lot of government jobs, it probably has a really weird name that doesn't describe what it is at all.
Yeah, that's pretty much everything in the government.
I know that Ronald showed up thinking he was going to have a boring government internship, looked around after he'd signed the contract and all the paperwork and was like, fuck.
Yep. It was like, if this ever goes south, I'm boned.
And then he's like, well, might as well have fun with it.
Yep.
So one lady is upset that she is also not winning the pot, her division, and Sitterson is explaining, nope, zombies are different than redneck torture zombie family.
Right? This is hyper specific.
And so we see Wendy explaining to the security guard that all of these are basically remnants of the old world, and these are where nightmares kind of came from. Yeah, then Hadley looks a little bit depressed, probably because the next part of this is people are going to die. He's also sad that Kurt didn't blow the conch because Hadley has bet on mermen and he really wants to watch the merman murder people.
Sitterson's telling Hadley it's probably a good thing the merman didn't get picked because the cleanup is a mess.
Yeah, I guess the Buckners have 100% clearance rate, so they're really not worried about all of the people dying. And then it shows Japan, which is real dark. Their sacrifices are a classroom of what looks like 9-year-old girls.
Yeah, they're definitely I even say even younger. They look like they're in like kindergarten.
Little girls. This sacrifice sucks, but at least these are adults. Seems dark for Japan to be like, let's sacrifice second grade. It's fine.
Yeah. And then it cuts back to the cabin where Jules is like dancing in front of the fire for the whole group because it's just Dana and was it Holden watching her dance awkwardly on the couch.
Marty's smoking another joint.
And is also like, what is going on? Because he's very confused because Kurt is a sociology major and he's acting like a jock for some reason. And Jules, who's normally really reserved, is acting like a hoe, to put it simply. She takes his joint, smokes it, and starts giving him like half a lap dance.
More like a show.
Yeah.
She's not really touching him.
Kurt calls Holden an egghead, which is also really interesting, seeing as he's also on the football team and is apparently like a really good quarterback. I think it's strange they didn't pick. Don't get me wrong, Chris Hemsworth is very obviously a jock physique, but Holden was actually on the football team. So I think it's weird that he didn't become the jock and the sociology major wasn't the scholar.
I think it's probably easier in this scenario to pair
Jock with the whore.
Yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense. And this is this is the part where Marty starts making a lot of sense. He's like, why is Kurt all of a sudden an alpha male, and why is Jules all of a sudden a whore? What is going on here? Why is he calling his friend an egghead?
Kurt's on a full academic scholarship.
And Dana is dismissing all of Marty's theories because he's high, and Marty's like, there's some puppeteers, something's going on here. There's puppeteers doing something. She mentions Pop-Tarts, and all of a sudden he's like, oh, Pop-Tarts, I'm hungry.
No, she says puppeteers. She just says it weird, and he hears Pop-Tarts because he's high.
Yeah.
Pop-Tarts are a classic hurricane food for my family because they don't really need to be warmed up, and they save really good. There's like 1,000 flavors, and they're not something that gets bought out, oddly enough, like when people ransack the stores for crises. And so anytime a big major hurricane would come through and we'd lose power and we wouldn't have anything for like a few days, we'd eat a lot of Pop-Tarts. And so anytime now as an adult, somebody's like, oh, you want one? No.
I love Pop-Tarts. Even though I have a very similar experience where I used to eat a lot of MREs, and we used to like love the MREs with brown sugar Pop-Tarts, and they were awesome. But we used to fight over them.
It wouldn't matter how high it was if someone was like, you want some Pop-Tarts? Bitch, no.
Nah, I'm good.
Not unless this is the third day without power and the trees are down on the road, so it's that or go hungry.
Right. We now have a no choice situation.
If that is the situation, then wild berry all the way.
Wildberry is the best. So apparently Holden is apparently able to read Latin, and he's reading from this journal, which, why is this redneck torture murder family able to write in Latin?
The little girl, Anna, who's part of this family, said that she found the answer in the old books, and so she probably copied or got the Latin from them.
Okay.
So it now flicks to Jules and Kurt running through the woods, gonna get it on in the trees.
And there is so much manipulation that happens in this scene. So they start to undress, and Jules is like, not here.
It then flicks to the office, and that is a group of, what would you say, 30 gross-looking men, all staring open-mouthed at this.
Yes. So Kurt tries to open up her top, and she says it's kind of chilly. So they kind of like run away. And apparently they have temperature control in that region. So they raise the temperature up so it's warmer in the area.
They also kick the like 30 men out of the room.
Yep. And then they engage Pheromone Miss.
I guess apparently being topless is part of how she's supposed to die. At least that's what I took from some of the conversations.
Oh, okay.
So what they say as you watch this movie is that the whore has to die first, or the person they've designated as that, because as they talk about, she's not really that in real life. But she has to die first, and the virgin, who doesn't actually have to be a virgin, they just have designated her the virgin, has to die last or can survive. So Jules has to die first, Dana has to die last, or Dana can live. But that's hard to do with zombie redneck torture family when you're outnumbered 5-1.
Oh, so this is where they talk about, they were like, show us the goods. And Truman asked, do we really have to see this? And they mentioned that they have to keep the customers happy and that it's a part of the process for her to be topless. So they even like illuminate light in the area because she was complaining that it was too dark. And they're all, Sitterson, Holden, and Truman are all creepily watching. Hadley? Yeah, Hadley.
So Sitterson, Hadley, and Truman all watching this.
Yep. And she's taking her top off. And there it is. Boobs. And now she can die.
So Kurt and Jules getting it on.
She's like moving her hand to the side and grabbing the ground. And she gets stabbed.
Right through the hand.
Yep. Another zombie comes up behind her. Gets tackled by Kurt. And then he gets stabbed in the back. He punches that guy out. Oh, they left it in his back. So he has to pull the knife out of his back, kind of stumbling about. Another zombie guy is like, got a bear trap? This guy makes no sense to me. He starts swirling the bear trap. It catches Kurt by the legs. And then he swings it again and catches her in the back.
Which I don't think that's really how bear traps work.
That is not how bear traps work. And then he starts dragging her back. And then he gets a hold of her. And Kurt gets manhandled by another guy. And like 2 other zombies pull up on her. They got a big saw. And they're about to use it. They hold her neck up. And whoop, she is now headless.
It then cuts back to the office scene. Hadley and Sitterson look a little bit depressed.
Yeah, they start offering a prayer, and then they flip a switch, and blood gets drained into some kind of altar.
It's like a carving, it looks like, of an image, and the blood sort of goes into the carving to paint the image.
Yeah, the blood falls into like this little chalice, which fills in this little diagram.
Okay, so now we cut back to Marty reading Little Nemo, The Adventures in Slumberland, which is probably not a great book to read when you're high off your ass.
Listen, he wanted a picture book.
And then he hears a woman saying, like, I want to go for a walk, which is clearly more manipulation because they're trying to get him out of the house because they do need Dana to die last, so they need these other men to go first. I would think that would be the hardest part because, like, what would have happened if, I mean, like, Kurt got stabbed if he had died first? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I think making sure that one dies before the other would be the hardest part.
But we cut to Dana and Holden making out.
And then she says, wait, I've never. And then even she's confused because she's like, wait, not never. Because she's clearly, I mean, she was having an affair with her professor. She's not an actual virgin.
I'm curious how they were chemically dosing her.
Yeah, they don't really mention it in her case.
No. Because Marty, they talk about the weed. And then with Jules, it's her hair.
Marty's outside and we can see little Anna Buckner creeping up behind him.
Yep. And he is pissing right in front of their house. There's no way you can't hear her moving.
She's very stumbling.
She gets decked because Kurt comes out of nowhere and tells Marty to run because there's fucking crazy zombies out there. And he inadvertently decks Anna.
Like a
Anna
football
Buckner.
move.
Yeah.
Just like, woof.
Just clotheslined her.
And then, like, Marty's like, what the fuck? I mean, at least he already peed, though, so he's not
Yeah.
going to piss himself.
He just screams, dead bitch.
And then Holden and Dana are like, oh my gosh, Kurt, what's happened? Where's Jules? Where's Jules? Kurt's like, she's gone. We got to get out of here. Dana looks confused, which is valid.
So I'm not leaving here without Jules. And then whoever the head Buckner is throws in Jules's head right into Dana's arms.
Kurt and Holden manage to shut the door on Father Buckner, which this is why you don't showboat. Don't toss the head in, just walk in. And then they're like, we're going to go room by room and barricade it. Kurt says we got to play it safe. We got to stick together. And then it flicks back to Hadley and Sitterson. And Sitterson hits some buttons and you see some like mist go into the walls. Kurt clearly breathes it in.
And then he makes a suggestion for them to split up, saying we can cover more ground. And Marty's like, no, we should be sticking together. But for some reason, Holden agrees with him. He tells them all to go to their rooms. And then they lock them in.
Which I guess would be an okay way to make sure that Dana lives the longest if they find a way to, like, stop her window, you know?
Yeah. And the window closes on Marty. And he knocks over a lamp when he was trying to get to the window. He notices there's a wire coming from the lamp. And he sees it as a camera. He's like, we're actually being fucked with.
This would not be my first reaction, would not be this level of conspiracy theory. It would be more or less that like some pervert owns my Airbnb and has set up cameras to put me on the dark web. So they start pumping chemicals into Marty's room because Marty's finding the wires and freaking out. He then does the dumbest thing in the world when you're trying to hide from zombies and leans against the window. And he thinks he's on a reality TV show.
My parents are going to think I'm such a burnout.
And so then a zombie grabs him through the window because these are clearly not double or triple pain.
Yep, he manages to dodge the first knife strike. I think this is Matthew Buckner.
He has his huge coffee bong, which he whips out like a baseball bat.
And whoops Matthew over the head. Well, Matthew just gets back up.
Unfortunately, he's a zombies.
Yep. And they chuck a knife and manage to pin him right
right in
through
the
the back. And the middle of the back, too, where he, like, you can't reach this. And then they start dragging his ass.
I will say, though, that they must have missed his spine.
Yeah, had to have.
It would still catch, like, your ribs, maybe, like the bottom rib.
Yeah. But we pretty much see Marty being dragged into the woods.
And down into a hole.
We see a splurt of blood pop up. And then back in the office, they pull another lever and we see more blood being pulled into the giant basin and then more of the outline being fulfilled. This one is the Joker. Also see a giant earthquake inside the facility. The earthquake was so bad they actually was in the cabin as well.
And it flips back to Dana. She's barricaded her window with an armoire and we can see, I think it's the mother zombie,
Yeah.
trying to get through with the
Saw.
saw. Holden bursts through the creepy two-way mirror, and Dana climbs into his room. They pick up a bed to barricade the hole in between the rooms, essentially, and they find a trapdoor, which I guess in this situation, not the worst idea to crawl into it.
At least they might be able to find a weapon or something. And they find a lot of weapons, because it's the old torture room.
And it looks pretty much what you would expect a zombie redneck torture family to have in their basement.
Yep, hundreds of weapons on a table. I guess in the diary they called it the black room. There's like a bunch of hooks.
Chains, knives, saws, spikes. Dana's clearly freaking out, but that's valid. I would be too.
Holden gets grabbed by the bear trap, and he's yanking him up the hole.
Ugh, that would hurt so bad.
Yeah. Dana managed to yank on Holden, which ripped the zombie down halfway into the hole. She takes a crowbar and starts... Ooh, she stabbed it into his eye. She stabbed it straight through him.
And
I
he
forgot about that.
sort of affixes him to the wall.
Yeah. He tries to pull it back out, though. He ain't dead yet. She takes a knife and starts stabbing him. And they have some type of, like, black blood.
I'm gonna take a page from Dwight Schrute here and say that unless you are separating the head from the body...
Yeah, thank you. That's what you should be doing. It's a fucking zombie.
There's that scene where they go, what happens if you die tomorrow, Meredith? And then you show up to work and Dwight's like, I'm gonna stab her in the brain.
Yeah, more manipulation, by the way. Apparently the knife was electrified, and she, like, dropped it and then didn't pay attention to it. Kurt somehow finds a way to wherever this cellar is and busts through the door, and they manage to get out. They get out, they're heading to the RV, and then Kurt casually mentions that they got Marty.
I wonder how he knows that. Maybe he heard him screaming.
I think he heard him screaming. They get into the RV, and what they don't see is that there's a handprint on the RV, and there's one of them in the back of the RV. Apparently, Japan's gonna fail because a bunch of first graders managed to somehow purify a spirit, turn it into flowers.
One of them has a mom or a grandma who's taught them the old ways.
Yeah, a shrine maiden.
And you see all the little girls like happy and jumping around. It doesn't look like a single one of them died, which is good, but bad if you needed to sacrifice them.
All right. They turned the spirit into a frog. If anyone's ever watched Dan to Dan, Saiko's granddaughter is apparently in this elementary school. So Japan apparently had a perfect record, and this is the first time they lose to a bunch of 9-year-old girls.
Oh, so I was right about the ages there.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's showing screens of all the other places that have failed. So like Madrid's failed, Sweden's failed.
Japan's failed. They comment on how there just happened to be a Shinto's daughter in the group of little girls.
So they're asking the chemist Wendy what's up with the fool's pot. He's supposed to be basically drooling. Why isn't he? And how's he finds their camera? How's he able to think? And then Wendy doesn't know, but she's like, you guys have got to make this happen because everybody else has failed. We're humanity's last hope. And these guys realize that the tunnel's still open, so they're freaking out.
Yeah, they're trying to figure out why the demolition team didn't have a cave-in where the only tunnel to get out is. So Sitterson is like sprinting through the halls trying to get to demolition. Apparently there's like an electrical glitch, so the tunnel never got blown up.
Apparently it was supposed to blow hours ago. And this is how you know he's probably somebody that worked his way up through the ranks, because he rips open panels and just knows where the wires are.
Yeah, he's essentially hot wiring the electrical glitch to make it blow up. And they actually almost make it through the tunnel. He like sparks some wires, which causes a boom and starts the cave-in. And they manage to back out just before they get locked into the cave-in, which RVs are not that mobile, by the way.
I guess it would still count, though, if you died in a rock pileup.
Yeah, but there's no guarantee that What's-Her-Nuts dies last.
She takes her breath last or whatever.
They're blocked on the wrong side of the canyon, and they were so close to getting through. And Kurt's like, I'm going to take my dirt bike, because they have a dirt bike on the back of the RV, and he's got to try to jump the canyon to get to the other side, and then try to get help for them.
So they're talking about, does anybody have climbing gear, ropes? And Kurt's like, well, in my dorm room.
And then Holden makes a suggestion to jump, and this is when Kurt is like,
hell yeah, I got a dirt bike.
yeah, I got this.
But Holden was saying it, and I'm like, what the fuck you want us to do, jump? And Kurt's like, the fuck yeah.
Yeah. He said he's jumped bigger, said it should be a smooth run, maybe a 5-foot differential.
Which is, I'm going to guess some scholar stuff, because I don't think, they're influencing him to know that kind of thing.
Yeah. I mean, you can just eyeball it if you're good at judging distance. And this scene's actually kind of sad.
First time I watched this movie, even though I had seen the bird crash in, I was still shocked by what happens, because
you had forgotten about it, because it happens at the first 10 minutes of the movie.
Well, and it's just such a quick thing. and I guess it just didn't occur to me that this is the same spot. Kurt revs up his thing, Joe dirts it, and flies right into the hologram wall and dies brutally.
Yeah, you can tell this isn't their first rodeo because they thought to set up that little net. Clearly someone's escaped this way before.
Or tried to, yeah.
So there he goes. He's getting up the ramp. He takes the jump, and then boom!
Well, and he's clearly gonna make it up until he hits that wall.
Yeah, a little electrified
Well, and he
barrier.
keeps hitting it all the way down.
Yeah. It must be curved inwards, and he just continuously hits it on the way down. Otherwise, he would have just fell back from it. And at this point, I would feel like I was high. But Dana remembers what Marty was saying and says puppeteers were being controlled. Holden tells her to get in the van, and they still don't know that one of the Buckners is in the back of the van.
I don't think I'd get back in the RV because I don't know. I'd feel safer here than back at the cabin, wouldn't you?
Yes, 100%. At least I could see them coming, and I could try to fight.
I just don't know that I would drive back towards the cabin.
No. Dana's kind of like disassociating. He says they'll keep driving till they find another road. Dana's like, it's pointless. They're controlling everything.
Dana's going into some classic shock.
Well, I mean, she kind of sees the writing on the wall at this point, so I kind of get where she's coming from.
Holden's like, please don't go bananas on me, Dana. I need you to be solid. And she's like, we're all gonna die. We're doomed. And then this part really threw me too. Because even though I like kind of knew somebody... Because they show the handprint, like mid Holden talking, we watch a knife go through his neck, through the back of the seat.
Yep. And then they plunge into a lake. Apparently zombies can't swim very well. Dana manages to find like a pocket of air and then opens a hatch.
Yeah, she finds the like hatch that RVs tend to have on their roofs.
Yeah. And she manages to swim up.
The zombie grabs her ankle, which I do feel like if we've crashed in the water, I shouldn't have to try to fight a lake zombie too.
Right.
Like, I feel like there should be some sort of thing that says, I'm good now.
Well, we all know that none of this would have happened because she wouldn't have like held her breath after being like screaming at the top of her lungs and then still managed to swim up like 30, 40 feet below water.
So it does flick back to the room, and Hadley explains to Truman that the Virgin's death is optional. She can survive just so long as she suffers, because that's what the creatures want. Pretty dark. Anna, can you imagine if you did survive this? How do you explain this to anybody? Like, happens when you come back from your weekend in the woods and you're like, yeah, they all die.
Well, even if she survives, she has to walk back or find a way back. Do you think they actually help her? They don't care.
Because if she makes it to sunrise, they come and get the monsters. I wonder if when the cleanup crew comes and they recapture the Buckners or whatever, if they like Men in Black, the Virgin that survives.
Right. Send in emergency services.
So Dana climbs out of the lake and is freaking out on the docks, and you see the father Buckner attacking her.
Yeah, he's choking her out.
And this is all happening on the security cameras.
They're all drinking and partying because they're celebrating because they think they did it. Little do they know.
I would survive what happens next in this movie for the simple fact that I would go home.
Yeah.
I'd be like, thank God, workday's over, and I'd leave.
They're all partying and celebrating, but they don't know that a fish slipped through the net.
And yeah, like none of them seem too concerned that Dana's actively being tortured, fighting for her life in the background. Yep. She's doing pretty good for how much she's being bodied.
I mean, she's not dead yet. She's literally getting tossed around like a rag doll in the background. They're all like partying while she's like, oh, she's puking up too.
Yeah, so Sitterson is talking to maintenance and basically being like, what the fuck? What happened with that tunnel?
Did they ever explain how they didn't get that order? There was a glitch power reroute from the upstairs.
Yeah, so they don't actually explain it, but what I think happens is we find out that Marty isn't dead, that he got dragged into one of the Buckner's like cages, essentially. Yeah. And I think he fucked with the power.
Oh, okay.
He was messing with the wires, and that's why it didn't detonate. At least that's what I took from all of this that happens next. Because in the middle of the party, they get a phone call from this ominous red phone. And Hadley answers it, and he's saying that's impossible. Everything was done within the guidelines. The Virgin's the only one. And then you can clearly tell that somebody on the other line is being like, no, it's not done yet. Somebody else has survived.
And we're seeing she's still getting tossed around. She gets lifted up and then thrown onto the dock one more time. And she's trying to crawl away, and Papa Buckner's carrying his little bear trap across the ground.
Ominously.
He's just trying to inspire fear, you know? She's crying. She's reaching for something. He's twirling his bear trap around. It gets caught on a pipe.
No, it's the bong. The bong saves the day. See, it's the coffee mug bong.
Yep. It's Marty. Marty's still alive. He yanks the bear trap, and she smacks the shit out of Papa Buckner and throws him in the water.
Yeah, with a piece of the decking. Obviously, if the Buckners had killed Dana, which is why, there's something for, like, you shouldn't showboat as much as he was, before Marty, then this whole sacrifice experiment failed. He has to die before Dana.
Yep, so Marty being alive is throwing a wrench into the problem. Marty has found like a little trap door that leads to the holding cell for the Buckners.
He got drug into it by the brother, and you can see that's why I assume that Marty is that, because you
Oh,
can see
okay.
that he's been fucking with a power panel.
Yeah, he like smushed one of the Buckners. All that's left is like its body parts and head. He dismembered it completely.
Yeah, he says I had to dismember that guy with a trowel. So somehow when he got drug into this shaft by the brother, he found a trowel and fought back and won. So Dana's telling Marty that they're the only two left.
He's trying to calm her down, even though he is bleeding out essentially.
Yeah, they're both pretty messed up.
Yep.
He's been messing with the power panel, and he found the elevator that sent the Buckners up through the ground.
Apparently, he's been using maintenance overrides to be able to control some of the electrical parts, which I don't think that works the way he says it's working.
No, but I think he was just messing with stuff. I don't think he actually meant to disrupt the tunnel collapsing. I think he was just messing around.
Yeah. So they jump into the elevator.
And he touches the electrical panel, gets in the elevator with Dana. And then Part, which is, I would not want any part of the zombie in there, but the zombie arm ends up in the elevator with them.
Yep. And that plays a role later on.
And then the elevator goes down. And from this scene forward is why we've rated this movie a tier 4.
Yeah, this is where the chaos really begins.
And they're in an interesting box. It's got a glass window.
Where you can see everything around you. And they essentially go from floor to floor, going left to right. And they see essentially all of the horrors that could have been unleashed had they chosen a different medium.
And so when the elevator first stops and Dana and Marty are looking through it, what comes up from the other side, what they first get to see is a werewolf man. And thank God, goodness, the glass or whatever it is appears to be thick. And so then their elevator box moves again.
This is like a misty phantom thing. Tried to guess where they would spawn from depending on what you touch.
That, I believe, spawns from the necklace that
Yeah.
Jules was touching.
The ghosty thing.
Yeah.
I think the werewolf was either the sphere or the film.
No, I actually know where the sphere is. I don't know what the film did, though.
This is the ballerina thing for sure.
So it first looks like a little girl, maybe around like 11, and she
Oh,
turns
it's a
around.
tooth fairy.
She turns around and she has, like, instead of a face, multiple rows of teeth, which would have, I think, made for interesting death. And then Dana's looking at a man.
Holding the sphere puzzle that Kurt was trying to solve. And he has like all these gashing wounds on his face. Very similar to Hell. He looks kind of like Hellraiser.
And he looks like he's got gears coming out of his face.
And this is where Dana clocks that these are all different mediums or different monsters that would have been summoned by the mediums that they were touching.
Yeah, because he's clearly holding the ball that Kurt was messing with.
Yeah, Dana says all this shit we were messing with, they made us choose how we die.
She then has a moment where she starts hitting the glass, which I don't know that I would do, because, like, I don't think you're going to break it, but, like, just in case.
Don't get me wrong, I would be upset, but I wouldn't risk getting fucked up by these things.
And then it keeps showing the, like, glass box that they're in continues to move around. And we see, like, a bunch of other creatures.
Yeah, like hundreds of other monsters that are all in this little, like, maze of boxes moving up and down. Spiders, bats, all different types of creatures.
And then it flicks to Sitterson and Hadley, who are basically fucking find them where we know that they went down the maintenance shaft. Don't touch the girl. The fool has to die first. Like, they're clearly just freaking out.
Apparently there's been something wrong with the chem department, and that instead of dosing him, they've been immunizing him. So he's been getting more and more clear-headed.
They missed one stash of his weed, which somehow is like a magic antidote to what they've been doing to him.
Yeah.
I don't think that's how that works, but we'll accept it for the movie premise. So it goes to Marty and Dana, who are in the elevator, and it shows a security guard.
And this is where the zombie hand comes in handy. He gets distracted because his leg gets grabbed by the zombie, and Marty manages to bash into him. He picks up one of the zombie knives and the gun.
And then he says, "Good work, zombie arm." This zombie arm's about to do something really bad to this dude's face.
Marty would have bled out by now, though. Let's be serious. He got stabbed, like, hard in the back.
Well, I think just based on where that stab wound is, he would have punctured a lung.
Yeah, it definitely would have caused harm.
If it missed your spinal cord, you still have a lot of other organs kind of in that general.
Yeah, in your chest cavity.
I don't think you'd be fighting this hard.
No.
So anyways, we see Marty and Dana in the hallway looking freaked out. Marty takes the gun, gives Dana the zombie knife. Dana's wearing the worst kind of outfit for this sort of stuff. She is in ballet flats.
I mean,
And,
flats are better than heels.
this is true. But they're not great to run in.
No.
She's in like Mary Jane ballet flats, capris, a cardigan. Marty's rocking a much more
Practical.
zombie fighting outfit.
So they hear a lot of noise of people coming, so they hide into what looks like a security guard's office, and they start getting shot at. And instead of going down, because all these people are shooting at them, they decide to open all of the cages.
Dana notices a big red button, which seems like a design flaw, that says System Purge, and she then hits the button.
And they release all the terrors on the security guards that are trying to apprehend them.
I don't know why you would have this button.
No. I can't think of a good scenario for them to want to hit this button ever.
System, yeah, like, why does that button exist? Why is it even there?
And then, so all the doors around the security guards that are armed just slowly start opening.
Like all the elevators.
Yep. And then just all these horror creatures, robots. There's a giant snake. There's a ghost. There's blood just being spewed all over the place.
So a tree,
werewolf.
which is a throwback to a very disturbing horror movie, reaches through the elevator and grabs a dude, and that's where the blood's spurting from.
Okay.
We see more security guards, which it seems like you should have a contingency plan in case this were to happen.
Yeah. They all are just flabbergasted at all the disgusting. There's still a few zombies left in the hallway that are eating some of the dead bodies.
And they look up and see new bodies and are pretty excited by that.
And then another round of doors start opening, and we just see blood splashing against the security doors. And the guy with the razor blades in his face finally gets out. It looks like a xenomorph or something just jumped out.
I think it probably was a xenomorph.
There's some ghost face, doll face people that are coming out.
Basically, every horror creature you could ever imagine is coming out to eat.
Yeah.
Everybody.
There's even a giant snake security guards. They're eating all of the workers. There's people just killing themselves on camera. They're pretty much everyone in the facility is dying.
Horrible, horrible death.
Yeah, and right now it's going to... I think this is where Truman, Hadley, and Sitterson...
Yeah, Hadley, Sitterson, Truman, and Wendy the chemist are in the main control area watching everybody be brutally murdered. And we see the little creepy tooth fairy ballerina monster just dancing in the blood.
It came back on, and now the vault door of where they were, a bat crashed through the security locker or security guard that Marty and
Dana were hiding in.
Yep. So they jump out into the hallway and they're just blasting anybody that comes their way, and they're trying to run away.
Which is maybe why the system purge wasn't a good idea, because eventually it's going to get you too.
Yep. So they're just watching more people getting attacked while they run. There's a giant explosion behind them. Zombies are heading their way. They realize they're kind of backed into a corner, but that giant explosion put a hole in the wall, so they just jump through it. Werewolf is chasing people. There's a unicorn. it's chasing people down. Just skewered someone. I can't imagine.
Honestly, being skewered by the unicorn might be one of the kinder ways to die in this scenario.
Probably.
I'd rather that than the man with the gears for the faces find me.
Yep. Patience managed to find her way down the elevator.
Yep, so we've gotten back to where Hadley, Sitterson, Truman are at, and Truman gets murdered by scarecrow people. Sitterson is
spraying with an SMG. Yeah, Truman's getting disemboweled right now. Oh, he pulled the pin on a grenade and just blew himself up.
Hadley got thrown pretty far. It looks like he's pretty dazed.
Yeah, he got hit by the concussive blow from the grenade, and he's about to die the way he wanted other people to die.
He finally gets to see his merman.
Yep. There's like a bunch of smoke, and he just sees something walking through the smoke, and he's like, oh, fuck.
Which is
fucking merman.
Poetic when you think about it.
He was very adamant about the merman. It looks ugly, too. Yeah, it bites his face off.
And right before he dies, he goes, oh, come on, because even he knows that it's stupid.
Yeah.
So it's just Wendy and Sitterson left.
Sitterson's trying to do some type of override on like a little bunker.
Yes, because they're in lockdown.
Yep. And what looks like a kraken, because it looks like a tentacle, just grabbed Wendy and pulled her through the ceiling.
Yep. So Sitterson's in a basement hallway, and he runs into Dana,
who just happened to have her knife out because she was afraid of what was coming at them, and stabs Sitterson. And Sitterson looks at her and tells her that he tells her she needs to kill Marty. Sitterson is dying, and he tells Dana to kill Marty. And they're a little confused.
So Marty gives Dana the gun.
So they make their way down into this little antechamber, which is where all the blood's been pooling to fill out the figure. Every time they killed one of the people off, they would open up a little gate that would pour blood into these giant molds.
That represent the archetypes. So the fool, the scholar, the athlete, the whore, the virgin.
And all culminates to a giant pentagram or a pentagon.
Some sort of symbol. It's not a pentagram.
And they can see like a chasm that is bottomless. And this is where Dana figures out that there are archetypes. Everything's about to get to explained for them, though. Ripley comes out and explains everything. She's also in Ghostbusters, right?
Mm-hmm.
Or is that a different actress?
No, Sigourney Weaver. So Dana's figuring out that they don't just want to see them die. They want to see us be punished. They want to see them suffer.
She calls out each one, the whore, the fool, the athlete, the scholar, the virgin, leaving the last to live or die as fate decides.
Dana's confused because she's not a virgin.
She says, we work with what we have.
So Sigourney Weaver explains that the Ancient Ones, the gods that used to rule the earth, as long as they accept the sacrifice, they remain below. Unfortunately, this particular year, all of the sacrifices, the rituals have failed. And if the sun rises, the world ends. Marty is like, well, maybe that's the way it's supposed to be. Maybe society really does need to crumble. And Dana's in the background like, I'm part of society.
Yeah, she understands that if the whole world collapses, that means everyone dies, not just you. Pretty much says you can either die with them or you can die for them. And Marty's like, nah, you ain't getting me. But Dana pulls up the gun and is like, I'm sorry, Marty, even though you saved me twice now.
I'm one of the idiots that lives in the world.
Yeah.
Maybe it doesn't end.
This is the whole world, Marty.
Seems like Sigourney Weaver could have just had her own gun and made this really simple.
Right?
I don't know about you, but if I worked for a secret government facility full of terrifying monsters,
I would be strapped 24/7.
I'd be strapped with fucking holy water.
Werewolf pulls up behind Dana. She says, I'm sorry, Marty. And Marty says, I'm sorry too. And he doesn't stop. It doesn't warn her about the werewolf. So she gets mauled.
And then Marty manages to shoot the werewolf impressively enough.
Yeah, and it runs away. Sigourney Weaver, bitch slaps Marty, trying to get the gun.
And is kicking his ass.
Dana sees something. I think it's Patience. Yes. I think Patience makes its way all the way down.
Little Anna, Patience Buckner. And doesn't stop to kill Dana, by the way.
Yeah.
Maybe because Dana's already dying. Starts walking towards Marty and Sigourney Weaver. Marty sees Patience and flips Sigourney Weaver on top of him.
And just when she's about to kill him, bam, she gets an axe to the head. She falls off into the abyss with Patience, I think.
Well, Marty Sparta kicks them both.
I'd like to think that Patience had a sense of consciousness and was doing it on purpose.
And so we see more earthquakes, more rocks falling. Dana's bleeding out. Marty looks like hell.
Marty goes over to sit with Dana as she bleeds out, and they start to kind of laugh about the whole situation. Even apologizes, says, I'm sorry.
Marty sits down next to Dana and goes, I don't think Kurt has a cousin, which would have been important information to remember before you went to the cabin of doom.
Yep.
And then he asks Dana how she's doing. And Dana's like, yeah, I'm going away, dude. I'm dying.
That's when he apologizes. She says, I'm so sorry. I almost shot you.
I probably wouldn't have. Marty's like, no, I get it. Fair. It's fair.
He goes to light up another blunt.
How many blunts has this dude kept in his pockets? And I think there should be a study done about how throughout the entire ordeal, nothing in his pockets fell out.
Yeah, right? They're just apologizing back and forth. He's like, I'm sorry I let you get attacked by a werewolf and potentially ending the world. Hey, you were right. Humanity. It's fucking shit.
And they're gonna go out with some weed.
Yeah, it's time to give someone else a chance. The end of this movie is kind of crazy because a giant fucking appears out of nowhere and slaps down.
Yeah, so this is not the kind of movie where like one person survives and drives away from the lake with like ominous music playing. Everybody dies.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure the end of the world starts here. Surprised there was never a follow-up movie.
No, that would have been good. So Dana and Marty hold hands as the earthquake gets worse, and then we just see a giant hand erupt from down below and go through the cabin that they were originally at, and then it sort of like slams down on the camera. Screen goes blank and it says The Cabin in the Woods.
Yep, roll credits.
And that's how the movie ends. Nobody lives. There's no happiness, nothing.
Nope, no happy ending here.
It's a good movie. It's got a lot. It is gory, I will say that, and it's not particularly happy, but it does have a lot of humor in it, surprisingly. There's some moments that are kind of funny.
Yeah, there's a lot of like Marty makes the movie because like the whole time he's like, anyone else think any of this shit's weird? Like this guy's acting really weird, she's acting really weird. There's a lot of things not adding up. It feels like something's being manipulated. He's like essentially narrating the movie for us as it's happening.
Yeah, I will say I do think that Kurt maybe got the easiest death.
Oh yeah, where he's. I mean, I don't know, having to fall from that height because I don't think he died on impact.
I do. I think he snapped his neck.
Nah.
And if it wasn't the first impact, the second or third one
I
got him.
think he felt every single bump on the way down.
No, he died pretty instantly. Kurt and Holden maybe had the easiest deaths.
Yeah, Holden definitely. He got stabbed in the neck and then drowned. Because he probably didn't even die from his neck being stabbed. He probably died from drowning. So he probably went really quick. The worst had to be Jules.
Yeah, Jules had the worst.
Getting your neck sawed. Because you know the first saw didn't rip her head off.
No.
So she might have lived through that first slash. So she had to feel
She
it.
felt at least half of it.
Yeah. Ugh. Sounds miserable.
Also, they bodied her pretty good there.
Oh,
leading up
yeah.
to.
They were wrecking them.
Dana did get attacked by a werewolf. That probably really hurt.
Oh, yeah. The mauling. No, thank you.
You know what? Everybody had a pretty brutal death in this movie.
It was up there for ways to die.
She also got her ass kicked by Papa Buckner on the deck.
Yeah, she was out there for like 5 minutes getting handled.
While they're just partying, drinking champagne.
Yeah. I know the choreograph for that had to have been something else where they were just being goofy up there because they're in there. They're like they had to record that whole scene too.
Do you think I maybe would have survived the government office part of it simply because the second they were like, okay, experiment's over, I've been like, thank fucking God, and I would have clocked out.
Right? Would have not been in that building. But you would have just felt the end of the world when the Giants took back over.
Oh yeah, I would have died 30 minutes later, but at least I wouldn't have been eaten by a werewolf.
I would have died in the comfort of my own home.
Yeah, or my car.
Yeah, I would not want to. Even though there's a good chance that because those people are privy to very sensitive information, they might not be able to leave their base. But maybe there's like a residential area that was in a separate ward or area, not connected to where all the terrors are. I gotta tell you, I would not want to sleep in the same building with all those terrors.
No. I don't know. I think it's interesting to think about, hypothetically, there's different terrors under the different ritual sacrifice locations, right? Because like the monsters they would have in Sweden probably look different than what we're rocking here in America.
Right? I think it's interesting that they have like they probably have a bunch of spirits in Japan. Mm-hmm. Japan's known for that.
Well, these victims are obviously selected. They selected this group of friends for whatever reason.
You would think they would select people that did not have the means to be able to solve some of the mysteries, right?
So I think it's interesting that Japan was like, it's just a 9-year-old bunch of girls. It's fine. Don't worry about it. Set them up.
Yeah, the Shinto's granddaughter is going to be in this class.
And I'm guessing when they picked Kurt and his friends that they didn't, I mean, on the surface, Marty would look like a great fit for the fool, and he's high as shit, and it wouldn't be that hard to dose his weed, you know?
Yeah, but they clearly missed some of his supply.
Oh, I want you to know there is a notice at the end of these credits that says that no animals were harmed in the making of this film. Nobody would watch this and be like, oh my God, that was a real kraken.
Right? Not to mention they're perfectly fine. It's everyone else that gets harmed.
That was a real vampire bat, and it flew through the glass. Animal cruelty.
How dare you. But yeah, good movie.
Yep. If you guys are looking for a good Halloween watch, even though it's not Halloween, or you just are into horror movies, I'd recommend looking this one up. It's a little bit older. It seems like...
It was 2011?
I don't know, but it seems like a lot of people I've talked to when I mentioned that we were watching this all were like, oh, I've never heard of it, which seems weird to me because I feel like it was a popular movie.
Yeah. None of my coworkers had ever seen it either, which I was kind of surprised by because I thought it was really popular when it came out.
And so if you happen to have not seen this movie, give it a watch. It's worthwhile. It's got a lot of great throwbacks to other classic horror. And then we'll see you next Tuesday.
Bye now.